Hello, hello, hello. This is Nicholas with DIVO-Ted Talks, Devoted Talks, whatever you want to call it. And I'm so glad you're here. Here we blend modern technique with ancient wisdom and try to help people end suffering through education and through edification in things that will be most helpful and relevant to them. I don't know, I'm still working on the intro, so let me know how that was. Anyway. So sometimes I just hit play and I start recording, which I talked about in a previous episode. But also, sometimes I sit and words just come to me. And the word that came to me was avarice. And I know I've heard it in sentences and things of that nature, but I just knew that it was the right word for the topic. And what's always interesting to me, especially in the woo-woo and the yoga world, is sometimes I don't consciously, or I haven't consciously thought about what the meaning of a word is. One time I was meditating and the word reticent came to me. And I just knew that that was the right word, but I don't know that I'd ever even used it in a sentence. I'm sure I'd heard it in a sentence, at least somewhere, but I didn't even know off the top of my head exactly what it meant. Now, I kind of had a vague understanding what avarice was, but I knew that it was the topic that would be pertinent for this Devo TED Talk. So, what is avarice? It's excessive greed and consumption of wealth and or belongings. And in a world full of avarice, what does a person do to stop suffering? Well, I think one of the things that yoga tells us is non-attachment. And it's not that you don't get things. It's not that you don't desire things. It's not that you don't accumulate and collect things. It's that you're not attached to them being yours or being belongings or having to have them. But rather, it's these ephemeral things that come and go as needed, and that when it moves on to somebody else, that's the right thing at that time, and or you will know when to pass something along. Have you ever met people that just give freely and it's not this compulsion thing where they feel like they have to, but rather they're just like, oh, I think this belongs to you. I've had people give me rocks and crystals and different things in that manner. They're like, yeah, I think this is supposed to go to you. Like, I have a feeling, like I know. So I think yoga would really find us healing when we're not attached to things, right? According to Ayurveda, the root of all suffering is attachment, right? There's a shloka, Rogadi Rogan Satatan Nushaktan. Okay, I can't remember exactly right off the top of my head. But anyway, we used to sing it every day in our Sanskrit class to help us learn, at least, in a similar manner that the rishis did, and then the students of the rishis, the sages, and passed that and transmitted that information along. But essentially, the root of all suffering is attachment. And how do we end that? It's not by completely giving up everything, although that is a solution that is sought by different people. Leading a yogic lifestyle isn't anything like what we do in the West, at least in the way that it used to be in the East. But that doesn't mean that things can't evolve and that it can't be adapted and that it's inappropriate to take it away from its authentic roots. I do believe that we should always honor the authentic roots of something. So it's not that I devised this or that I created it, but it is this ancient wisdom that came down through rishis who wanted to end the suffering of the people that they knew and of the world, and through that enlighten the world, right? Making it less heavy, making it more full of light and love and all of that jazz. There's a lot of conceptions, I believe, in the world today that go around what it means to be, a yogi and what it means to be spiritual and be enlightened, and it becomes this act rather than this natural state of being. Just like I don't think avarice is a natural state of humans, it has come to be that in the structures of which we have created our society. It is natural to want and to consume more. And when we have a system that benefits by telling you you need to consume and collect more, right? That's how marketing works. It gets you to believe that you don't have something and that you need whatever it is they're offering, right? It's all about messaging, and it's about, the receipt of that message by the people that are the target audience. And so what does this all mean for you? One, it means, can you acknowledge any avarice that you are expressing in your life? And it could come in many different forms. It doesn't have to be, material things that are worth money. It could be hoarding of specific things that are meaningful to you, whatever that may be, to your detriment or to the detriment of others as you are collecting that. Avarice could show up in the form of power, right? I'm consuming and collecting and reserving all of this power for me and not sharing it with others, and not dispersing it, or giving it away, except for, I don't know, circumstances where I gain more, right? Like strategic strategic use of powers. Our world as a whole is like that. And do you know what starts all of that? It is borders. It is this false identification of separation. And yes, we all do have separate bodies, but if we were able to not look at ourselves as different countries and different tribes and different groups of people, we might be able to see ourselves as the human species on the planet, and we as humans could potentially take care of other humans and recognize the value that each of the different types of humans there are adding value to the system that is the world, right? Right now we look at countries and the resources that they have within the confines of their borders, and or their ability to create things that are of value within those borders, and then using that to have a global market, and trade agreements and things of that nature. A lot of this stuff might be hot button issues depending on where you are in the world, or where you are on the political spectrum, or where you are with regards to the current administration or the last one. There's just, it's hard, it's tough. But what I can say is that there are distinct players that are in high ranking positions that show avarice to a degree that is almost like a caricature. And so there has to be a rebound effect of something that helps balance that. And so there needs to be more people who are not attached to things, who are not attached to grabbing and pulling and collecting, but rather they're able to let things come and go as they flow, as they feel they are meant to, and not being so caught up in what it means and how to get more. So, am I accusing anybody of avarice? No, but I think there's plenty of examples out there for us to look at. And is there something wrong with wanting more and desiring more or needing more? No. But if you hurt others or harm others to make that happen, or you have to, I don't know, create some storyline that some people are less than and don't deserve things, that's where I believe the message starts to degrade, the disease starts to set in. So my friends, yoga doesn't call us to be anything except less attached and more aware. So can you do that? I think you can. Peace. Be well, be free.